Hello again to this spontaneous format that is centered around the idea from head to body and living more through the senses. And today, I had an inspiration when I was participating in a yin yoga immersion. And the woman who is leading it, she encouraged us to start a nature journal. And I felt quite excited about that idea because as she explained it, I realized this is something that is already in some way part of my practice, not keeping the journal, but what really comes before the journal, which is going through the world with an openness, where really like paying attention to what's changing during the seasons, what's changing in the environment around you in nature. And often we think, okay, we have the seasons like there is winter, then there's spring, then there's summer, and then there's autumn. But really, there are also always changes occurring, like in one season, little changes between the seasons. And so, like all the time, if we look closely, we can see something new. And that can be quite exciting on the one hand and quite inspiring. On the other hand, it really helps us to feel more connected to nature and also to the natural kind of cycle and rhythm, and see also, how it affects us and how, it changes kind of how we are in the world, how we can also benefit from this mutual connection. And if you're a poet, I think it's also just a beautiful thing because for me, this is really the way of being in life as a poet. Or if you want, this is how we discover the poetry of life. When we really take the time to slow down, to really look, to also listen, and to really immerse ourselves into um, the kind of observation, but an observation that it's not just, rational or cerebral, but it's an observation through our body with all of our senses. And I think that really, when we are present with something, when we immerse ourselves in an experience, that can really help us to slow down, to stretch time instead of speeding up time. And yeah, on the one hand, it can help us to cultivate the art of attention and presence. But on the other hand, it can also be something really nourishing and restorative for ourselves. It's really helping us to recharge our batteries and giving us some resources. And often, we are rushing through life. We are not really looking, to the side, on a beautiful flower, the tree that's getting new sprouts. I don't know, the wind and the sounds it makes, or how maybe it moves the curtain, the light, how it plays on the wall or through the leaves on the floor. And these are moments, at least for me, that on the one hand, they're really deeply moving. And, there are moments of beauty, of magic, where I'm seeing, like, oh, this is the world. This is like what the world is too, in between all of the bad news we are getting from the media and all of the stress and the hustle. There is the nature that holds like an immense amount of beauty, and when we are present can also gift us with that beauty and magic that, as said, can on the one hand inspire us, but on the other hand it can really give us so much and add to our nervous system in a way that we feel more relaxed. And there are even studies that found, even when we just listening to birds singing for a few minutes, that it's giving us the feeling of being safe because in the past it meant that there were no predators around, so people could feel safe as well. And I think there are so many things that we sometimes forget in this world of today where our connection to nature can really benefit us. And a lot, especially also, in the connection to our senses and in relaxing, finding relaxation. And maybe you also notice, when you're at the ocean and you're really looking out and like, in this kind of, yeah, eternal blue sky and blue sea, and you can really get lost in it, and you feel there's something maybe even widening within your chest, and that you're expanding, and that your breath is maybe getting deeper and slower. And so I think there are many ways where we can enter in a relationship with nature and deeply benefit from it. No matter if we are looking for more connection with our body, for more relaxation, or for more inspiration and creativity. And as said in the beginning, I think for me as a poet, this is the kind of poetry of life, and the way of being in the world is a poet. But of course, in daily life, I can also forget about it. So I got really excited about the idea of the nature journal because sometimes, I'm having certain observations and I'm struck by beauty and inspiration, and I'm noting it down on my phone. But I felt it was so beautiful to really have a dedicated journal and also make this a little kind of practice to look even more closely and make it really a journal where I for myself can see how the seasons are changing, and like what I'm seeing, what shows me that the seasons are changing, and what kind of part we are in, what it does with me, how I'm feeling with it. So, for me, my kind of inspiration for you today would be to either just see, yeah, open your eyes and your attention more to the beauty of nature and to the changes that are occurring, and just be a bit more present with it and be a bit more conscious about that engagement with nature. Or if you anyway you love writing and you maybe want to also feel more inspired for your poetry, then maybe you also will start a little journal, a little nature journal, and write down your observations, and maybe even little poems or little texts are coming out of it. Or, it could also be something you're starting to scribble or draw. But just to stay in this contact with nature, I think it gives us like really a huge amount of pleasure in some way, and of fulfillment, and also of feeling connected and not feeling so disconnected from everything. And I think even the connection with nature can help us in the connection with ourselves because it happens a lot through the senses. And so we ourselves are also more in our body, and yeah, can more connect with our senses and our sensual self, if you want to. So, yeah, that's my inspiration for today. And let me know if that resonates with you if you want to. And otherwise, see you next time.